Hey there, and welcome to another Ask Me Anything session where I'm responding to all of your questions about the publishing industry and how to write a stronger story. Thank you so much for continuing to give me plenty of questions to answer in these videos. I really love sitting down and getting to engage with you all in this more direct way. To get some of that housekeeping out of the way, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel if you haven't already. It helps me build this amazing, wonderful community. And go ahead and hit that like button on this video, which helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already, make sure you go into the description below to download my free story self-assessment worksheet. This is a resource designed to help you evaluate your own story and figure out what could actually be improved to take it to the next level. I know how hard it can be to have that objective view on your story and figure out what you actually need to do in the next draft. So I hope that resource helps you out. It is also going to sign you up for my exclusive newsletter where I give tips and insights that are not currently available anywhere on my channel, so don't miss out on that. We have great questions on deck today, so without further ado, let's dive in. First question here. I'm currently working on a novel with a Latina main character, and well, as a Latina, sometimes she speaks Spanish. Not always. I'm trying to keep that at a minimum, but I've started to wonder if I should not include Spanish at all. Spanish is only used in dialogue, and I've included a translation every time I use it, but I don't know if maybe agents and editors will find it difficult to read, and I don't want to hinder the reading. Should I stick to English only? My advice here would be to portray the character as authentically as possible. And if to make her come across as authentic and genuine to you, you feel she needs to speak Spanish, let her speak Spanish. The fact that you've included the translations in the story is going to help make for a smoother reading experience, and that is a tactic that is quite commonly used in contemporary fiction. In fact, in your case, it sounds like maybe the character would be less authentic if she didn't speak Spanish, right? Because she's Latina. So I would say if it feels natural to include specific Spanish phrases, absolutely do so. Now, where it can get difficult to read is if you are including an entire dialogue exchange that is entirely in Spanish. In that case, I would more likely lean toward having you write the English translations and then say that they spoke in Spanish, or limiting what they say in Spanish to just those select phrases that you can then translate and paraphrase in the narrative itself. But it sounds like you have already only selected specific moments where the Spanish makes sense, and I would absolutely keep those as is. That is going to make the story actually feel more authentic to that character. And I feel strongly that agents and publishers would look at it the same way. Here's another question. I see from your videos and the guests on your email newsletters that most of the editors' agents' features talk about the books they love, like Gone Girl, etc. For someone like myself who is writing a military science fiction novel with horror elements and a fair amount of violence, are there editors and agents who would be more receptive to that niche type of book than those looking for the next broad-based bestseller? You can absolutely find a literary agent who is looking for your specific genre. It sounds like you should potentially target literary agents that are geared more towards science fiction and or horror novels, because that aligns with what you are writing. Now, my background is in suspense and psychological thrillers, so that's probably why you're seeing on my channel and in my newsletters talking more about that genre, just because that's what my background personally is in and what I worked on in the industry. But there are certainly agents and editors looking for science fiction and horror, so you just need to find them. How to do that? I would recommend using the two main databases for literary agents, which are Query Tracker and Manuscript Wishlist. Both have a feature that allows you to filter by genre and then look through the profiles of literary agents representing those genres to find ones that are looking for books that are more in line with what you have written. No matter what genre you're writing, unless you're writing one of the few genres that literary agents aren't typically looking for, like poetry, I'm really confident that you can find literary agents who represent that. Here's another question. I have a question about revision. I recently finished my manuscript, and as I go to revise, I find that I'm more compelled to add things in than cut things out. It's a big manuscript, and I know it needs some cutting and condensing, but I keep wanting to add. Do you ever run into this issue with the authors you work with as a developmental editor, and if so, how do you resolve it? To answer your question on if I run into this issue, absolutely, all the time. I think from an author's perspective, as you have experienced, it is much easier to add more scenes, develop things, write another plot line, create this backstory or flashback scene, rather than cut out things, AKA killing your darlings. That's where someone like me comes in and can kind of take a knife to the manuscript and cut out what doesn't belong. Frankly, it can be so hard to see what needs to be cut in your own manuscript. I do have a video that goes through specific scenes to watch out for in your manuscript that might be able to be cut, so I will leave the link in the description below for you to check that. But beyond that, I would recommend trying to get another set of eyes on the manuscript if you really can't see what needs to be cut for yourself. This could be a trusted beta reader or a professional editor, someone who has a sense of where the heart of the story truly is and can help you identify which scenes, which sections, potentially which characters and which storylines are actually not serving that primary point of conflict, what we call the heart of the story. It is far more often the case when I'm working with an author that we cut the manuscript down than we add to the manuscript. That's just, I think, the nature of writing. So the fact that you are able to just identify this issue for yourself is a really good step. You can also try to do that exercise just on your own. What is this story truly about? And is every scene actually laddering up to that? If it is not, maybe it's time to go. Maybe there's an extra plot line in there. Maybe there's an extra character perspective in there that doesn't belong. But again, if you can't see it for yourself, that is a great point to work with someone who can give you honest, constructive feedback. Those are all the questions we had time for today. Keep them coming. If you have a question you would like me to answer in my next video, leave a comment here. This is the cue I use when I go through and create these videos for you, and I'd love to hear what obstacles you're facing or what questions you have. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget the free story self-assessment waiting for you in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and happy writing.